Hi, it is so lovely to see you, and welcome to
And
Five
you.
Curly Career Questions. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. So you have your own business, your own coaching business, and with your coaching, you work with mid-career leaders to reset and decide on their next career steps. And we haven't actually known each other that long, have we? We met through the Business of Coaching course, and then we've been working on the Positive Intelligence program together, which has been very interesting. Um, and so, looking at your background, you actually started at Ford, I believe, and then you were at EY
Yeah.
for a number of years, but in quite a few different jobs, which was nice and varied, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Cool.
So yes, I've always been corporate in corporate world until last year,
Till last year.
and now I'm
Excellent.
now fully freelance. So big change.
Yeah, big transition. So, are you ready for your five curly career questions?
I am. Yes. So I didn't want to say too much to begin with because I'm ready for your questions. I'm not going to give too much
Okay,
away.
all right. Okay, all right. So, let's get on to it. Okay, so the first question is tell me about a time when you experienced a career transition or a time when you felt stuck.
Oh gosh, it's hard to think. I mean, there is obviously one big career transition, which is the one I've hinted at, which is, I had 5 years at Ford, uh, 16, nearly 17 years at EY. So, really big organizations where I always had a lot of security and safety of a regular income and, a team and people around me that I knew and trusted. And so my big transition really came in leaving that this time last year. It was July 2023. And
Yeah.
going freelance and just stepping off that, that security and into this whole new world of, what else is possible. And that felt scary and exciting in equal measure, I'd say. But I've been building up to it for a little while, probably 4 or 5 years. I've been thinking about what do I want to do next, which sounds like a long time, but it took me some time to do my training, my coaching training, and to really unpick what was important and what I wanted. And actually, I had some great roles as well for those last 5 years at EY, so I kind of wasn't ready to leave. I just knew that it wasn't the next 10 years, and there was something else in store for me.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, so the second question. As we start out on our careers, we have certain priorities, and then, we get a little bit older and our career paths shift.
Mm.
So, what one way have your priorities changed, would you say?
I think for me, it's, I'd say for the first 10, 15 years of my career, I'm not sure I really gave much thought to purpose or happiness. I mean, I was happy, so maybe that's why I didn't question it. But for me now, and I think that was symptomatic of the generation. When I entered the workforce at 2001, people weren't really
Mm.
talking about what makes you happy and go with your true path and what lights you up. It just wasn't really the language that was used. So I didn't really question it, and actually just going and starting at Ford and getting a good job. And I did have loads of fun there and loads of great experiences, so it was all fine. But I think the important thing for me now is, am I doing something that makes me happy, and B, am I doing something which I feel like is the best of me? Am I achieving my own unique potential and kind of bringing together all of that kind of, my strengths, my skills, and not just my skills, but the things I actually enjoy doing, because I've got plenty
Yeah.
of skills, but I don't necessarily enjoy using all of them.
Yeah.
And the things that just make me tick, so am I bringing the best of me to kind of have the impact I want to have in this world? So yeah, it definitely evolved, and that only really started clicking into place in my late 30s, I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So, what are a couple of key resources or maybe pieces of advice that you've had along the way?
Uh, well, resources wise, there's probably three things here actually. One would be,
Mm.
I got some help in the early days. So I went on a brilliant group coaching program. So I was a participant with a
Mm.
company called Career Shifters, where we did lots of in-depth work on sort of getting to know ourselves again and expanding our options as to what was possible and experimenting and talking to
Mm.
people and using our networks, trying to explore what the next chapter might look like.
Yeah.
So that was an amazing resource because I often look back, over the past years, I've looked back at
Mm.
the things that I did and the reflections I had in that time and to help me work out my next step. And the other piece of advice from that, actually, which I've always taken forward, is around the importance of taking action and
Yeah.
how action breeds momentum and motivation. So it's really about not waiting for the perfect thing, but just getting into kind of messy, imperfect action, which I find difficult. I
Yeah.
found really challenging because I can be a bit of a perfectionist and overthink things. So it kind of goes against the grain a bit to get into messy, imperfect action because you want things to be right. But I have 100% seen the benefit of doing that. So that's probably something that I would, share with
Mm.
people who are in a similar boat where I was a few
Yeah.
years ago, and I still use it today. I think it's applicable in so much of our life, really, not just career change.
Yeah, totally. I 100% agree with you. Yeah, messy, imperfect action. Just try it, see what happens.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
Thank you.
exactly.
Okay, so the next question is a bit different, I suppose. So I hate, loathe, and detest coriander. That makes me feel quite alone sometimes. Um, but if we think about that feeling, that hate, loathe, and detest, and translate that to like a professional setting. So in a work context, what would your coriander equivalent be?
Well, first of all, I'm wondering what else I could substitute in because I love coriander. Maybe parsley. I haven't got a lot of time for parsley, but I don't feel it. I don't feel a strong aversion to parsley, but I do love coriander. So, what would my yeah? I don't know. What would my parsley be? Probably um, probably a little bit of a feature, if I'm really honest, about where I am today, which is um, the, there's so many benefits to being freelance, and I've not looked back, and I'm kind of loving the
Yeah.
journey. But at the same time, I really miss not being part of something. I really miss not collaborating and having a sounding board and problem solving with other people. I think really well, and I think it's common. It's a common human trait that there's a lot of half-baked thoughts in my head, and actually talking them through with someone helps them form and build, and that's where the magic is. And so
Yeah.
not having someone to do that with, I find really um, challenging. So I kind of miss the collaboration and being with other people and just the energetic connection that you get from being physically around people and teaming and with a sort of pressure and a deadline. And you have to kind of create some of that yourself. And, I have to a large degree with building my network here and being part of several different networking groups and meeting people like you, Helen, as part of the work we're doing together on positive intelligence and sort of building our businesses. But it's still a little bit different, isn't it? Because it's not about solving something together on your own business. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's probably the hardest thing, I'd say.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So your fifth question, it's based around. I lived in New Zealand for many years, and in Maori culture, there is a concept of a koha or a gift. So
Yeah.
using that concept loosely, I guess, if you could give a koha? What koha or gift would you give to somebody going through a bit of a career transition at the moment, or maybe stuck at a career crossroads?
Oh, it's a good question. I like the coho concept as well. Have to remember that. I think a really powerful question, which I sometimes ask clients, and I often ask myself as well, is what would you do if you weren't afraid? Because I think that often unlocks quite a bit for me, certainly. Actually, I think a lot of the time we do know what we want, or we know the answer, but it's buried underneath some layers or our own fears and beliefs about what we can and can't do. And there's something about that question which really taps into, you know, what we really want. So I would say that's a great question to ask yourself, and it will give you a little bit of a clue as to what's next and what's really in your way, which is often you. Well, not you, but ourselves.
No,
Us.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, we're in our own way.
Yes, yeah. What would you do if you weren't afraid? Nice. Okay, thank you. Those are your official 5 questions. And then, as you know, you've got a mystery question as well, which was left from a previous guest, and you don't know what this one is. So it's a concept that I stole from Stephen Bartlett. And the question is, what happened? So tell me about a challenge and situation that comes to mind where, rather than looking for blame, you had to look for understanding and an opportunity to grow.
Oh, this is such a difficult question off the fly.
I know. I was thinking about our positive intelligence stuff, actually.
Yes. Yeah.
When I heard this question.
Do you know, I'm going to give you an example from this morning because it's so fresh in my mind, and it's nothing to do with work. It's to do with my son refusing to put on sun cream for his school day and pool party.
Right. So yes.
Yeah. So he very, very briefly, he had a pool party today to celebrate the end of year 6. Isn't that amazing how lucky he is? It's 30 degrees. He's got to put on suntan lotion, but he is struggling to do that because he's very sensitive to how things feel on his body. And I did not have much tolerance for that today. So the positive intelligence studying that we've been doing is all about channeling your inner sage. So your sort of all-knowing, all-seeing, calm, logical adult self, thinking about what is the gift in this. So what I should have done is really listen to him and try and understand his feelings and empathise with him and find a way forward. And I struggled to do that this morning, if I'm really honest, and reverted into frustration. And you know, we were short on time on getting to school, so it's always. And I think, you know, I'm not going to beat myself up over that because that's life, and we're not always perfect. But I think on reflection, when I came back, that was my thought process going through my mind of, okay, how the outcome might have been different if I'd have been able to sort of channel my inner sage and stay calm, because getting frustrated didn't help the situation. So that's a very honest reflection.
Love that. Seriously, absolutely love that, Jenny. Thank you. And that's completely off the cuff. I love that.
Yes, very much so.
You will, after this, get the opportunity to give me a question for my next guest. So thank you so much. Really enjoyed that. Thank you.
Yeah, me too. Thank you, Helen. See you soon.
You're welcome. Bye.